Good morning, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 23rd day of December, 2024. This is a budget hearing of the Office of the City Clerk and the Office of the Council of the Jersey City Municipal Council. At a scheduled 10 a.m. start, and my watch shows 10:13 a.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this budget hearing? Councilperson Ridley? Councilperson Prinzari? Councilman Bogiano? Councilman Saleh?
Here.
Councilman Solomon? Councilman Gilmore? Councilperson DeGees? Councilperson Rivera? And Council President.
Here.
We have two council members at 10:13 a.m. In addition, at the time of its preparation, the notice of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Monday, December 16th, 2024 at 11:55 a.m. to the mayor, municipal council, business administrator, corporation council, and to the local newspapers. I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Madam President?
Good morning, everyone. So we'll start the budget hearing by everyone introducing himself, and then City Council could start with the presentation. Okay.
My name is Tammy Richardson, and I am the Council Administrator for the Office of the City Council.
Sean J. Gallagher, City Clerk of the City of Jersey City.
Danny Bagenot, Department of Finance.
Carmen Gandula, Director of Finance.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good morning, Council President and Councilman Saleh.
Good morning.
This is the Office of the Municipal Council overview, and the first page explains the responsibilities of both the council members and the city council aides. It's pretty self-explanatory. Any questions?
Just read some of it so the public can hear.
Okay. So the city council the city council in Jersey City consists of 9 members, 1 council member for each of the city's 6 wards, plus 3 at-large council members who represent the entire city. Every 2 years, the members of the city council vote among themselves to select 1 member to serve as the city council president. The council president presides over the council meetings and attends biweekly meetings with the city administration office, who sets the agenda for the subsequent council meetings. The council president also manages the day-to-day operations of the council office. The responsibility of the city council member generally involves determining city government and administration policies, as well as adopting budgets and legislation. The city council aide is responsible for maintaining the council members' calendar, scheduling meetings, screening their incoming and outgoing mail, phone calls, and assisting in constituents' services, researching legislation, and so much more. Next, we have our table of organization. The council president is listed at the top with her aides next to her. And then we have the council at large with their aides listed. And then you have the remaining council members with their respective aides. There's also a part of the staff in the office set up where you will see myself, who is the council administrator, and also our council receptionist. Next, we have our council budget analysis and the staff totals. For the staff total was increased by 3. However, you will see a difference in the number of the full-time employees, which is 22, and a decrease of 1 in part-time to 14 for a total of 36 employees. Next, we have our goals achieved in 2024, which were pay transparency, Right to Choose Sanctuary City legislation, Women's Advisory Board of Jersey City legislation, establishment of the Cannabis Board legislation, Right to Counsel legislation, and the New Jersey Reparation Task Force Act legislation. Our goals for 2025 are as follows: rent control legislation, public school partnership, and the annual Harvest Fall Festival. Last but not least, we do have our budget changes listed for 2023 through 2025. Please take a look at each line item. And please let me know if there are any questions.
Going to say we recently passed an ordinance regarding plastic utensils. I think Council President, you were the one that that passed that. Will we be bringing in utensils that aren't plastic in the council offices for the next year?
Well, I'm not sure about
Look at
that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that, as the plastic utensils are better for us right now because there's so many, but I'll find out and let you know.
They got bamboo now. They got all sorts of different, utensils. I know it's like a stupid, it's not. It's something that we passed, and then we should follow, the ordinances that we pass. But I'll leave it to you, Tammy, in your capable hands, because I know you could do it
Hey,
I just have a question. When was this passed?
this year.
it was passed this year.
Therefore, we need a memo to finance so that in order to stop that, purchasing would have to get a memorandum to make sure that those purchases don't happen citywide.
Okay,
I think it was for food establishments,
So-
Right.
but it was. I don't know if it was a.
it was for food establishment, pretty much. It was pretty much the condiments, like people would have to request them. That's what that was.
So I was just,
They would have to request,
so I guess I'm clarifying, I guess Tammy's,
you know,
she's saying it's too much, then it's not internal to the city.
right.
Okay, got it.
Wanted us to walk the walk that we, and we talk the talk.
So if that's the case,
Right.
then we need a memo and then I will make sure that it happens.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions?
None on my end.
City Clerk.
Okay. Thank you so much, Council President, Councilperson Saleh, my deputy, John Hallinan, handling the meeting for me, and everybody present and everybody watching at home. This is the Office of the City Clerk 2025 budget presentation. The municipal clerk is the secretary to the municipal council, secretary to the municipality, keeper of the city seal, chief election officer of the municipality, and the individual responsible for the records management of the city. The Office of the City Clerk handles Open Public Records Acts, also known as OPRA requests. Right now, 4,536 requests were filed in 2024 as of October 24th. We're on a record-setting pace. We may even hit 6,000 this year, who knows? The Office of the City Clerk processes applications for all vital records. Our office also handles city council agendas, municipal code book, landlord registration forms, municipal service applications, sound truck permits, and all elections within the city of Jersey City. Any questions on our roles and responsibilities? Okay.
Are you prepared for 2025 municipal election?
Yes, I am very prepared. I'm having the office prepared as well. I think we're going to see an election that we haven't seen in quite some time because, we haven't had a change of administration in the past 12 years. So, you could have maybe 7 full slates of candidates running, 7 candidates for mayor, 7 full slates, all 9 council members. That's 70 candidates without, counting any independent candidates. So our office is going to be ready and willing and able to attack the petitions as they come in. We plan on getting out the guidebook as soon as we can. We're just waiting for the State Election Bureau to release the chronological index for the 2025 elections, so I don't make any mistakes on the deadlines. Once I have that, then I'll be able to start distributing petitions, because I know that's a big question that's been asked of me. It's been being asked of me since September of this year. So I'm thinking maybe mid-January, the latest late January, we can start bringing people in, because what I'd like to do is bring them in. That's just like we did in the very beginning. It's almost like a job interview. You know,
Yeah.
we give you all of the tools that's necessary. We give you a copy of the guidebook, which has all the important deadlines that are important to someone who's running for office, regardless of the office who you're running for. And then you'll have petitions that day with your name pre-printed on the petition with your address on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, budget and staff totals from 2021 to 2025. Our budget analysis is self-explanatory pretty much. From 2021, what we had adopted, and in 2025 is a slight increase, and it's because of the union contracts that were settled, and the potential of the local 246 contract that is not settled yet. You see our staff totals has stayed pretty much steady. We did have a loss of an employee. They went to another office, but then we gained another employee pretty quickly. I know I didn't budget for it this year because I know the budget's pretty tight, but we do have two individuals who have the years of service that and the age, and they can put in their papers, you know, between now and before the municipal election happens. So I may ask or be coming to you begging for at least two more hires because we're going to need, you know, a backup to those individuals. I can't be short-staffed. I mean, we were short-staffed earlier this month, and even the prior month, we had two people on FMLA. Actually, three people, right, John? I think it was three people on FMLA. And when we have three people out, we're a small staff. We have one staff member who is off-site. That's Sydney Harris, who is in charge of the records center. So with three people out, it's really tough on us because of the work that we're responsible for and the work that we do on a day-to-day basis. I could just imagine if that happened during the municipal election process, where we would be, you know, working almost 24/7. Because, you know, the petitions are going to come in and, you know, the work is not going to stop. So I may have to ask and beg for you guys to help us with the two new hires possibly. The next page is our table of organization. As you can see, I'm the clerk. I have my deputy, John Hallinan. This was made before Amanda got her promotion to deputy, so I have two deputies.
Okay.
And then you see Renee Jackson, Tamika Harmon, Manuel Maldonado, Maury Herrera, Isaiah De Jesus. That's our newer employee who took the place of Gabrielle Marcella, who left our office. We have Jordas Espinel, Marlene Sandkamp, Karen Bellamy, Lori Carrera, Alexandra Dorso, Bhakti Telly, Sydney Harris, and we do have a vacancy in the record center where I would like to hire someone to help out Sydney. But before I do that, I've been putting in for Sydney Harris for an increase for him for the past 3 years, and I'm pretty sure it was budgeted for, but it was never processed for some reason. So I'm going to ask again for the council to help me with this, to get Sydney Harris his proper due, and also Jordas Espinal, who actually took a pay cut to come to our office back, I guess, 3 years ago. She was working in the redevelopment agency. We're going to get to that, but I just wanted to say it now. Those are the two individuals that I'm looking to increase their salaries. Not by much, but something that Sydney really deserves. And the good news, something I wanted to share with you guys, we were in front of the State Records Committee on, I think it was Thursday, and that's why I missed the daytime budget meetings. And they approved the destruction for the Sandy records. So now all of the Sandy records that would were, I wouldn't say destroyed, but they were floating in the water in the city hall's basement. I'm talking about original resolutions, original ordinances, budgets, you name it. We had a lot of stuff downstairs, and they gave us the approval to destroy those originals because now everything is scanned.
Okay.
So the next step is to meet with IT, and then each department who had records in the basement of City Hall will have access to their records. Most of our records are going to go into our website. Our plan, John and I have talked about this. Our plan is to have minutes, ordinances, and resolutions from 1861 to present on our website. I think we'll probably be one of the first municipalities to have that length of time on our website.
How will the records be destroyed exactly?
So Document Reprocessors is the company that the city hired during the emergency. They have possession of these records. They will shred all of those records because they froze dried or freeze dried all of the records in order to get them scanned, right? So all they need from us is the approval from the state, which we have now. So it's just a matter of electronically signing these forms and have them destroyed. And they're supervised on how when they get shredded. But that's all going to be done by the company.
Also for Doris and Sydney, you said it's been 3 years. Jordis, sorry. Jordis and Sydney. It's been 3 years?
3 years for Sydney. Jordis, no. Jordis is new that I'm asking for in this budget.
Can we look into that, please? Just because, that's not okay.
Appreciate it. Okay, our office key performance indicators. As you can see, the ordinances have been steady. Marriage license is issued, pretty much steady. OPA request, it's growing. I know it seems like from last year we had 5,186, and currently this is October is when we took this. It's a snapshot of how many OPA requests we had. I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I'm sure we're past the 5,000 mark now. So again, we're on record pace to set another record again. Death certificates again, same kind of steady, unfortunately, with death certificates. Our birth certificates have grown. This is another thing, and I want to just state this for the record so the members of the public who are watching on the live stream and can watch it on YouTube. What's most important to remember is that Jersey City has never had their own birth certificates. The state had them for years. Actually, the county, Hudson County Vital Statistics had them for years. They were shut down by the federal government back in 2001, I believe. And, now we're talking about almost 24 years later, or 23 years later, we're now able to issue birth certificates. The problem is we got this big file from the state. We don't have everyone's birth certificate. To just sum it up, we don't have everyone. So I have a great relationship with the state registrar. I'm able to email her when it's an emergency, especially when it's someone who is elderly and maybe wants to go on a cruise or something like that. We're able to email the state. They can email us the original record. It's an encrypted email that no one can open except for myself or my deputy registrar, and we're able to issue on spot. The state deals with all 565 municipalities, and we're included in that. They do know our situation, and they've been very good with us. We do weekly birth certificates, meaning we send weekly requests to the state, and they FedEx the return once they're completed. When I mean by that is they look them up, they send it all to us, because anything that was on microfilm from the state, we did not get a copy of unless that person came to the state and requested a certified copy of their birth record. And that means we got a snapshot in time when we actually got that big, humongous file from the state. I hope that helps people when they try to understand. And what we do is too, as an office, we communicate with the members of the public who are requesting these records, whether they're doing it in person or via mail. If they do it via mail, we email them back. And then they got the connection with, like, Marlene will send an email to the requester. It takes like 4 to 6 weeks to get it back. It's kind of true, but sometimes we get it back sooner. And if we do, we mail it out the same day that we get it back from the state. Does anybody have any questions on the birth certificate process?
Thanks for explaining it for the public.
Yeah.
So they have a clear understanding.
Okay. Our budget changes. Again, all this wouldn't be possible without Amani Brown, our fiscal officer. I have to thank Carmen and Danny, who are sitting to my right. Thank you for allowing Amani Brown to help not only my office, but the city council's office. She is super. She's one of the best fiscal officers that I had to deal with in all the years that I've been here. And she's she is just tremendous. I want to give her a bunch of kudos because we wouldn't have all of this paperwork because we have backups to the backups to the backups. We have all explanations, and we're such a small department for the city. So kudos to Amani. Not much change, like I said. The salaries, the union contracts, basically. Overtime, I did increase that. And that's due to the extra work that we have with the election process. So, and then this past year, we had 4 elections that we had to deal with. We had a special primary and a special general, right? And then we had the regular primary and the regular general. So next year, we can possibly have 3 elections, primary, the general, and a possible runoff. We may have a citywide runoff. So if we have a citywide runoff, that's like having a whole brand new election. Again, that also comes with the additional responsibilities that were added onto our office. And I know you guys have seen it, and maybe members of the public have not, but if they come early voting, they would see in the background all of the suitcases that are lined up. So that comes from the county, and we have to stuff those suitcases with the election supplies, the provisional ballots, and then pack them up, stack them, and then have them ready to go for the poll workers to pick them up, and then they drop them off on election night. That's the additional duties that were added onto our office. So it's another reason why I increased our overtime, because we're a very small unit.
Yeah.
And during the election, the days of the election, I have to thank Jake Hudnut and his staff for allowing some of their staff to help us during election day, and obviously Director Kearse and all of his staff, that the messengers, Paul and company, who have been super duper with us. I've been working with the messengers since I've been in the clerk's office, and they've always helped us even before we had this additional responsibility. But now even more so, I can't thank them enough.
Let me ask you something, Sean. When it comes to the poll workers, do you have a say in that? Because I know sometimes when I go around, there's always challenge with poll workers, challenge with the skill set, the machines get jammed. And I'm just trying to figure out, is there a way we can do this better? Do we have to train them earlier? Or I don't know, because it's been a problem. Because we in the new machines, and it's been a problem with the poll workers. So, I mean, should there be some type of, I don't know, qualification? I don't know, because it's a problem.
Sure. It's a great question. So I don't have the hiring capability, but I can make suggestions. And Michael Harper, who's in charge of hiring the poll workers, who works for the Board of Elections, he will take our recommendations, and not just from me, but any of the members of the city council who has recommendations on people who they feel that would be a good fit for that district, whatever ward and district that you're looking at, or if it's just a citywide problem. I know that they do poll worker training. I think it's a couple of days that they actually do it, because they know they can't have every poll worker at the same time.
Right.
So they do it on consecutive days. And myself, John Hallinan, and Amanda Bransky have attended those workshops for the poll workers, so they can get a face to the name to a
Yeah.
face, and then we basically give our expectations of the poll workers. And this past election, we had our messengers deliver all of the suitcases to the polling sites. We found that a little helpful because then we didn't have to depend on the poll workers coming. Some of them don't drive, and you know they're going
Mhm.
doing this by public transportation. We had a presidential that we just
Yeah.
went through, and we certainly didn't want to be in a newspaper saying, "Why is a poll worker taking public transportation with a
Mhm.
suitcase?" Because sometimes it sends the wrong message. It's nothing against anyone that has to
All
take
right.
public transportation, but that's why we took on that responsibility to deliver them. And most of them brought them back. I think we had maybe two districts that didn't bring back, or maybe there was a handful of districts. We improved that situation by just doing that. But to your point, I think there's never enough training that you can give to the poll worker, and maybe I can have some conversations with
Mhm.
Mike Harper to extend the training a little bit.
Yeah.
So, because if the poll workers can't make the training, if they
Okay.
have an additional day, maybe we can add to it. It's a conversation I can definitely have with him. But if you have any members of the public that you can see, not just you, Council
Right,
President,
I
but
know.
any member of the council that would be a good fit for being a poll worker, we'll take that recommendation and give it right to Michael Harper.
Okay, thank you. Because now I see that, with a poll worker, it's the transportation too of the suitcase, or, I mean, what do you call that they have to transport?
It's the election supplies, but
Okay.
it's a big suitcase. It almost looks like you're going on vacation.
Right.
And then you have a little mini case because that's the electronic list
Right.
of voters. And then
I'm
they
trying
have
to
an
figure
internet.
out, why would they assign somebody to return that if they don't have a vehicle?
So
That's what I'm trying to,
so usually there's 4 poll workers to each polling location,
right.
right? And one out of the 4 would volunteer to pick up and drop off.
Mhm.
Even sometimes when they do volunteer, we'll get a call on an election night saying that, unfortunately, I don't have a ride. Can you please send one to pick them up? So that's why, with the addition of Jake Hudnut's staff that I
Right.
had, we were able to facilitate those requests from poll workers. The thing is, too, the poll worker gets $12.50 addition
Okay.
for picking up, and another $12.50 for dropping it off. I
Do
think
we have a
maybe
shortage? Are we shortage of poll workers?
I can't say we're short. I think we had some extra poll workers for the presidential. I don't know if we used all of the extra ones that we had. Sometimes poll workers don't show up on the day of the election, and then we try to have like a couple of extra poll workers even floating here in City Hall, so we can just send them out to the polling place, the ward and district that they didn't show up to.
Is committee people poll workers? I mean, is it required committee people to be a poll worker?
That's a great question. I don't think there's a requirement, but I would start there first. I think it's important that county committee members volunteer their services for that. It's a way of them learning the process. They do have a big responsibility when there's a vacancy in an office,
Right.
but this is an important process of every election. This happens
Right.
every year. I mean, our municipal elections happen
Right.
every 4 years.
4 years, but
Goodness.
every year there's
But
an election.
yes,
It is.
yes. So I think county committee members would be a great way to start. And I think a lot of them are poll workers, to be honest with you. I don't think everyone is, but
Mhm.
a lot of them are.
Teresa, go ahead.
I was going to ask, now that the Jersey Journal is scheduled to close, how will we sunshine our meetings and, sessions here?
Okay, here comes my
Council.
plan. I'm going to spell it out. So it's unfortunate that the Jersey Journal is closing, especially after 157 years of service to Jersey City. It's a sad day for Jersey City with that. We're not going to have a newspaper anymore, basically. We used to have the Jersey Journal, the Hudson Reporter, which turned into the Jersey City Reporter, the Daily Challenge, the Urban Times, and the El Specialito. The El Specialito is a Spanish newspaper that is circulated in Jersey City, but it's actually circulated not just Jersey City, all over the place, and even New York City. I found that the Bergen Record is circulated in Jersey City, so I'm going to go with the Bergen Record and the El Specialito for now. Hopefully, they stay afloat. I'm knocking on wood when I say that. And on a January 15th council meeting, we'll have a resolution making the Bergen Record and the El Specialito the official newspapers of the city of Jersey City. I'm also going to put a tab on our website. It's going to be on the home page, and it's going to, when you click it, it's going to direct you to my page on the city's website where it's going to say public notices. So anything that you would see in the Jersey Journal, the Bergen Record, members of the public will be able to click on that and just see it. And it's free. There's no charge for us putting it on our website. Where now the state legislature, I believe, passed a bill, or it's about to pass, which gives municipalities the option to advertise in, like, the Star Ledger that is not closing. They are not going to print any more newspapers, but they're going to have electronic version of their newspaper, and then they'll have electronic ads. I say, why should we have to pay for an electronic ad when I can just put it on our website and be free for Jersey City? Not just for us, but especially for the taxpayer, right? Would save a lot of money on advertising, legal advertising. But during the municipal election, I'm required to advertise the ballot in full. So that usually takes up like 2 pages in the Jersey Journal. I believe the Bergen Record is legal on the legal paper, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, if you guys know of another paper that I can consider, I tried to find a paper, and that Bergen Record was the only one that I can think of that's still printing, and they are circulated in Jersey City.
Used to have the Urban Times. I don't know where that paper is at this time. I would have to find out about that. I really
Right. And I mean, the weekly newspaper, like the El Specialito is a weekly newspaper.
Yeah.
We need a newspaper that's circulated every day. And the reason being, especially when we have special meetings, when things come up, emergencies come up, that's why you have an everyday newspaper. Our ordinances, our
Yeah.
first readings, second readings, and our professional services, they all have to be placed, on a deadline at a certain time, 7 days prior to, depending on what type of ordinance it is. If it's a bond ordinance, you require a little more time. So that's why you need an everyday paper. So, like I said, on the January 15th meeting, that's my plan, is to have the Bergen Record and the El Specialito's already one of our newspapers, but we need to clean it up because that hasn't been touched since 2002. That resolution.
Thank you.
No problem. Other than that, any changes, they're self-explanatory. We have the backup, thanks to Amani. Our budget changes for the general and primary, it's not much. It's maybe a $20,000 change. It's because of all of the fees have gone up for printing, sending out the sample ballots, which we're responsible for.
Did the license increase? When your fees increase, do you increase like license fee and all of that, birth certificate fee
So
to
yeah,
cover the cost because it had went up?
we did do that not too long ago. We increased the certified copy fee, is what you're
Okay.
referring to. So we did that for the birth certificates, the certified copy of the marriage licenses. The only thing we did not increase are the death certificates. I think that was that was administration call, especially that was during like right after COVID. So they didn't want to raise the fee. So like each copy of a death certificate is 15, each additional is 5. Now, all the other certified copies is $20 for the first copy and $10 for each additional, which I think is still reasonable if you go by any other municipality. Plus, we don't want to hammer, the residents or former residents.
Great.
Our municipal election budget has increased, and I'm anticipating the possibility of a runoff. That's why you see the big increase of $80,000 for each, the printing and advertising and professional services. That's the anticipation. If we don't use it, Carmen and Danny can correct me if I'm wrong, we can take that money and put it elsewhere if I don't use the full amount. I just wanted to be safe rather than sorry and have enough money for the possible runoff election next year. Okay, our budget changes, operational needs, the justification. I think I kind of touched on this already. Supply costs have increased due to a high volume of requests for birth, marriage, and death certificates, as well as an increase in the price of certified paper. So that's the other thing. We have to pay the state, their vendor who they have, to purchase certified copy paper. That's the paper that is protected. It has, watermarks in it. You can't make photocopies of it. If you do, it'll just say, copy all over the place. It's a good safety feature, but those fees have grown, and we're supposed to have at least a 3 to 6 month supply of those that paper. Now, with the addition of birth certificates, we're obviously increasing on how much paper we have to purchase. So, the paper, I'm staying on top of that personally to make sure that we never have a shortage like we did when we first started issuing birth certificates back in 2022. John and I had to take a trip down to Trenton more than once to purchase the paper right from Trenton because the paperwork didn't get, done in time. So we couldn't have no safety paper in our office because then we would have to make people wait, no matter if they're in person or, doing it by mail. And then we did individual trips. I did one, John did one. But we'll never get to that point again because that's only because we didn't know the volume that we were going to have with birth certificates. When you never did it before, it's hard to anticipate how much you're going to use. But we're not going to get to that because, again, we have a clear understanding on how much we do every 3 months. Advertisement costs have increased due to advertising in multiple newspapers. Again, I don't know how much the Bergen Record is going to charge, but hopefully they stay in the vicinity of what the Jersey Journal was charging us. Even if it's an additional increase a little bit, I'm not anticipating an astronomical amount to be increased.
Can you tell us what Jersey Journal was charging and what the circulation of Bergen Record is, if you have that on you? I don't know.
I don't have those exact numbers on me, but I can get them to you. I'll email the entire council with those numbers. Yeah, I could tell you what we spent for the year in advertising. We may even have that in one of the attachments. I know Amani is amazing. So printing and advertising, I'd have to look in detail, but I'll get it to you either way. And I'm not going to know how much the Bergen Record's going to charge until we start using them. Or perhaps I can give them a call and see how much, if they can give me a fee schedule. I'll share that with you guys. Does that work?
Yes.
Okay. All right, our operational needs. The clerk's office will need to raise the salaries of some non-management and management employees and promote one employee to managerial position as they already have assumed the managerial responsibilities. That's basically Sydney Harris and Jordis Espinal. Sydney is a local 246 employee. He makes roughly $49,000 a year, and he's doing the job of two for that price. And Sydney is a long-term employee, has over 20 years of service, dedicated service to us. He worked with my brother, who was the records manager, replaced my brother back in 2021. And like I said, I've been asking ever since my brother retired to put Sydney in my brother's vicinity. Not exactly what my brother was making, because obviously he was with the city for over 30 years. Sydney's getting close. He's at 20 something years, 20 plus years. And what I was looking for Sydney is to put them approximately at 65,000, which I think is a fair number.
You said he's in the union, 246.
Yes.
And we did not, we still negotiating with them, correct?
Yes. What I was looking to do was put him into a management position.
Okay, so he would have to come out of
Right.
246.
But he would still be entitled, and budget can correct me if I'm wrong. Or finance, I'm sorry, would correct me if I'm wrong. Because he's serving and has been serving in local 246. If I was to promote him and this went through at the end of the year, he would still be entitled to that increase because he served in that title for all of the the time they've been negotiating. I don't know if he would get the entire increase. They would know better than me, but I'm pretty sure he would have somewhat of he would be entitled to some of that increase, if not all, when they do settle. And if they didn't want to put him in management, that's fine too, because records manager title, I believe, is a local 246 title. So just to promote him into that, to get him up to where I want to put him, and then he would get the increases that he would be entitled to for being in the union.
Okay. Do y'all have anything to add with that finance with Sydney, the 246? Because I know we still under negotiation with 246. Would that be a problem? Because sometime I know I run into that, trying to increase, their salaries and then find out that the union contract is still negotiating because they have the same title, somebody else have the same title. It's like it's a domino effect that they say we have to do. So could you give me some clarity on
Sure,
that?
Council President, as Sean alluded to, so if Sydney were to go into management, he will still get that increase that's due to him in Local 246,
Okay,
but it will be prorated at the time that he was made management.
okay, so he can come out of there but still get a pro rate.
That is correct. And that applies to all union members.
Gotcha.
Council President, I just want to add that while finance can, we'll make sure that the money's there and
Right.
appropriated in the transfer, there's still that element. I think the challenge that you have about the human resource manager
Correct.
titles, union designation, management
Right.
designations, and so on and so forth. So a review of titles from the human resource department would be critical, I think, for a lot of the employee issues that some of the departments face in regards to transitioning, whether they're going to be in management, JCSA, or 246 or 245 or whatever designation there is.
Okay, thank you.
Put that on record.
Appreciate that. Getting back to our operational needs, the city clerk's office will need to hire at least one employee for the record center and 2 employees in the clerk's office. I touched on that earlier. To be honest, the employee for the record center, I wouldn't want to do that until Sydney gets his increase and his promotion, because let's just hypothetically say I get to hire someone first, right? Even if we promoted within, somebody from DPW shows interest, they want to work for Sydney in the records management center, that person would come in making approximately 42,500. Sydney makes 49. How fair is that to Sydney Harris? I know he needs help, but I think we need to help him first before we can assist him with another employee. And I'm only trying to be fair. That's the way I operate as a boss. And he also helps on election nights. Every election, he volunteers to work. He's one of those individuals that I don't have to ask. He's a self-starter as well.
So you're saying with these hires and, the requisite salary increase, will be able to, have the 2025 election without any, we'll be fully staffed is what you're telling me.
Yes, because God forbid if we get a surprise retirement handed down to us, we'll have those 2 extra employees to be able to step in. And then the more seasoned employees I'll be able to train on, depending on who leaves, on who retires from my office, because that does take a little time to train. Because we're not talking about we're talking about people that have been here 40 years or more. That's longer than me. And I'm the boss. So they whatever reason that they are continuing to work, everybody has their own reasons. There's no problem with that. It's just you got to prepare for the possibility of losing 1 or maybe 2 individuals at a time where it's critical for our office to be fully staffed. Okay. Next, the commission minute books from 1913 to 1961 should be completed by the end of the year. We'll continue digitizing the remainder of the governing body's minutes up to 2020, when the city began using iCompass. Basically, what that means is we'll have, like I said before, we'll have minutes, resolutions, ordinances from 1861 to present, eventually on our website.
Would I be able to search through them, like put in keywords or, do like a whole search to see what we've done in the past?
Great question, and absolutely yes. Not only will you be able to do that, but members of the public will be able to do it. It's almost like going to a library on our website. That's the intention and my goal before I leave and retire from this great city. That's one of my goals, is to have all of it digitized, all online, all accessible to every member of the public, and especially the members who work in the administration, where it starts from the mayor, the council, and all of the department directors. We'll even give a little tutorial once we're ready to roll it all out to everybody. Last but not least, there will be a municipal election in 2025, and I anticipate a citywide runoff in December of 2025. So a year from now, we can be looking at a runoff, a citywide runoff, and just think of the temperatures that are outside. And as it gets, the sun goes down, the colder it gets. It's going to be tough when you have people, you're asking voters to come out, not once, not twice, but 3 times. This past year, 4 times. So it's tough. So the amount budgeted must be increased from 160,000 to 800,000. That is, again, we don't use it. It can be placed somewhere else, but I rather anticipate and be safe than sorry and begging later on.
What's the reason behind the low voter turnout in Jersey City? Is it historically this low? Like, what's your expert opinion on this?
That's a loaded question. So I would have to say, I think voter turnout basically stood the same. I know it's kind of low. The primary, you know what it is? I think when you try to ask a voter to come out that many times, it's tough because voters get a little frustrated. But I don't think the registered voters realize that there's, vote by mail. You can register to vote by mail for every election, every future election. I would, definitely try to encourage voters to do that, because if they can't make it to the polls,
Correct.
and if it's too much, especially during working hours, you're trying to, get everything done during your work day, and you're trying to hit the polls before they close at 8 p.m. and you can't make it, it's so easy just to fill out that form, get it to the Hudson County Clerk,
Yeah.
and you're good to go until you don't want to use it anymore. So I think that would be helpful to try to increase voter participation in municipal elections, not just municipal, but every election. But you did see a lot of people come out for the presidential, right? So everybody wants to vote for president. And it's unfortunate on us, though, because we always follow a presidential election. That gives us the numbers that's required to how many petitions are required to run for mayor, council at large, and ward council. So those numbers always swell. And it's the way the law is. It's the Faulkner Act. So I think in 2021 it was roughly 1,400 to run citywide.
Yeah.
I'm anticipating that number to increase to almost 1,600. So think about it. If you're running for governor, you need 1,000 signatures. To run for mayor of Jersey City, you need 1,600 possibly.
Might as well run for governor.
I'm not saying that. I'm just using that as a hypothetical and an example on how the law is and how the law is written. I also think that the state legislatures need to take a look at some of these older laws,
Correct.
especially with the requirement for advertising.
Mhm.
Maybe we can set the example for the rest of the municipalities, and that's what I'm hoping for. So that little public notice tab that I'm looking to do, maybe that's something that, because to be totally transparent, we are transparent. We have our entire agenda publicized, every council meeting. That means every member of the public can look at our every ordinance, every resolution, and all the attachments. I don't know if every municipality is like that. So
I can
again,
confirm they're not,
right.
because I've looked for them.
And I like to brag a little bit because we should be, because we're a big municipal, the second largest municipality in the state. And we should be setting the example and let people follow our lead. I think, what the law says, we have to make every effort to notify the members of the public that there's a meeting, what's on the meeting. And I think we've been doing that. And just that the extension of a public notice tab is just another extension of our way of letting the members of the public know that, what's coming up, what's on the agenda, what needs to be advertised. And I'm talking about like ordinances, tax abatements, like it's just hypothetical. I'm just using that as an example. It's hard to summarize a tax abatement. So we always advertise those abatements in full. So whatever I send the journal will be on that tab where it says public notices. So it's going to be one-stop shopping for members of the public if they want to take a look at that, instead of having to pay for a subscription to the Star Ledger in order to see the Star Ledger in its entirety and their ads.
I do want to note the arrival of Councilperson Prinzari at 11:02 a.m.
It's true. I guess we got to start thinking because it seemed like paper is getting less and less as we go on. I seem like that. That's what's happening, not just here, but across the country. Go ahead.
I'm assuming you guys are talking about the Jersey Journal and where we're going to be noticing. So forgive me if this question is redundant. If it is redundant, I'll get the information from after this meeting. But has the state made any determination on the changes of noticing people? Because well, first of all, as one of the two largest cities in the state, we should have a paper of record. So like that's a whole other issue. But some of our noticing requirements are predicated on state law. So has there been anything from the state, any sort of directive or anything with regard to how we can be noticing electronically and in print? Because we only have, I think, one print option now, which is the reporter, correct?
So it's actually a two-part answer to your question. So the state legislators, I believe they have something on their in the works where they will allow municipalities to advertise an electronic newspaper like the Star Ledger.
Okay.
You weren't here for when I was explaining, but I'll sum it up really quick. I've already anticipated and planned on putting a public notice tab on our homepage, which will direct you to our page, the city clerk's page, and it'll have the actual ad that I would send to the Jersey Journal, right? It'll be one-stop shopping for members of the public. But the state legislators, I don't know if it's out of the House or whatever it is, it's on maybe sitting on the governor's desk. It does allow the municipalities to advertise electronically into newspapers that are only electronic, not printed. I did find that the Bergen Record is circulated in Jersey City. So the Bergen Record and the Yale Special Leader are going to be our official newspapers for Jersey City until further notice. And in order to do that, you got to designate them by resolution. So I anticipate a resolution on the January 15th meeting, because I believe that the Journal will close on February 1st. So any of the second reading ordinances or first reading ordinances from January 15th, I want to put them in the Bergen Record instead of the Jersey Journal, because I don't know if they're going to meet the deadline for our deadline to have them published in their newspaper. They might, and if they do, I'll use them up until the very last time we can, but we'll transition to the Bergen Record.
I'll follow up with you offline on this because I don't want to belabor the point, and I know we're going into the finance budget hearings. But
Yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't mean to take up your.
Yeah, but it's going to be really important how we communicate this out to our residents. So I also want to know about the circulation of the Bergen Record and how many people it actually touches in Jersey City. And does this mean our residents who would rather get, anyway, there's a whole host of questions that are not part of the budget hearing, but Sean, I'll follow up with you.
Sure.
Or I'll just raise it at the caucus meeting when these resolutions come to city council.
And you can definitely do that. Like I said, I think that that's the only paper that I was able to find that is actually printing still. So the council president actually alluded to it right before. We're coming to an age, an era where newspapers are going to be phased out no matter what, unfortunately. I don't mean anything bad by that comment. I like reading newspapers, I think a lot of other people like reading newspapers, but unfortunately, there's not enough of us around, and everybody likes to use one of these. So, eventually, I think everything's going to become digitized.
And it will come back like records did too. So we can look forward to that in about 5-10 years.
There you go. Does anybody have any questions with we have a copy of an org chart that's there, and a bunch of backup to everything that I went over as far as our contracts that we have, and the increases that I asked for as far as, overtime is concerned. Amani Brown, our fiscal officer, did a wonderful job with helping me with the budget presentation, and also Tammy, not that I want to speak for her, but I think she feels the same way as I do.
Last question from me, I swear. Okay. All right, is your office responsible for voter education as well when you're noticing the voters, and it's in your budget request, I believe, to do voter education, or no?
That's not something that we do so much. I mean, I think the county does their job with that.
Okay.
They do it on social media. They do a great job, actually, I think. I think our Hudson County Clerk, Junior Maldonado, does a wonderful job educating the voters. And whatever he does, I do share on our website. So if someone wants to know how to fill out a vote by mail application, there's directions and a tutorial on our website from the county that is right on our website, where a member of the public can just press the button and take a look.
Do we usually defer to them when it comes to that stuff?
Yes, because the superintendent of elections is the keeper of all the registered voters for the county. So the municipalities do not keep record of registered voters. We get that information strictly from the superintendent's office.
Okay, that's all.
Say,
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, so we have a motion to adjourn for this hearing, made by Soleil. Is there a second? Second by Council President Waterman. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned at 11:10 a.m. I believe the next group is preparing to make their entry. So we will take a brief pause and we will reconvene in 5 minutes.
And before you do, I just want to say thank you to council president, members of the council, everybody present, and everybody watching at home. Have a happy holiday. And in a couple of days, your clerk is going to turn another year older. Yeah, on Christmas Day. And
Christmas Eve, tomorrow.
I can't believe that. And Tammy and I would just like to thank Amani Brown and the budget staff and finance for all their hard work. And we need to celebrate the end of the year. It was a tough year, but we got through it. And I always say it: teamwork makes the dream work. Thank you so much. Okay, everyone, we're about to get started on our last budget hearing for the year, I think. Nice to be in the seat that I'm normally in. All right, good morning, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Monday, the 23rd day of December in the year 2024. This is a budget hearing for the Department of Finance with the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a schedule 11 a.m. and the clock on my cell phone is showing 11:19 because I wouldn't stop talking during my budget hearing. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this budget hearing? I'm just going to call the members that are present. You can just say here, Councilperson Prinzary,
Here.
Councilperson Saleh,
Here.
and Council President Waterman. We have 3 council members in attendance at 11:19 a.m. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the notice of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Monday, December 16th, 2024 at 11:55 a.m. to the mayor, municipal council, business administrator, corporation council, and the local newspapers, so I can certify as our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. I am going to turn it over to our chairperson for the budget hearing, and that's Councilperson Prinzary.
Right, so good morning, everyone. Director, if you want to go ahead and give presentations, and we'll hold questions till the end.
Good morning. So I'm Carmen Gandula. I'm the Director of Finance. Here with me today, I have my team members. I got some fiscal officers in the audience here looking to review our budget presentation, our last presentation of the year. Very happy this is now the second year in a row that we've had budget hearings preliminarily very early in the year so that we can help plan for our fiscal and financial planning for the city. I will note for the record, this is not a presentation on the actual budget or the city's financials. That will be next year once we complete our AFS, our annual debt statement, and have gotten feedback both from the council and any changes from the administrations now that you've heard. So that'll be at a later date. Oh, Danny.
Good morning, everyone. Danny Pagenot, Department of Finance.
Hello, I'm Mercedes Drew. I'm the community coordinator, finance coordinator with American Vista, working under the finance team.
Raquel Tasaro, I'm the purchasing director. Alkidia Stanton, acting comptroller.
Trisha Greco, tax collector.
Vivian Webb, grants director.
Okay, so we're going to start with the PowerPoint. So the Department of Finance, we're going to go through our introductions, our results from last year, who our team is, what we expect next in 2025, and then we're going to go into the closing and discussion and questions by area. So the Department of Finance's vision statement is to empower excellence in finance through a commitment of high quality performance, collaborative success, and expertise in driven leadership. The department's mission statement is to foster a culture of continuous improvement, facilitating success, expertise in finance, delivering tangible results, and embracing new challenges and effectively solving problems. Our roles and responsibilities, we have various divisions that are responsible in managing the city's finances. So you've got OMB, which is the Office of Management and Budget. You've got collections, treasury and debt management, accounts control. We have our purchasing and procurement area, grant administration. You have my office. Our roles are to bill and collect, invest and manage the city's cash position, held in trust, allocating available funds and monitoring the city's expenditures and budget process, which also includes the capital budget, accounting and reporting for all funds, and managing the city's debt portfolio, and advising city agencies, council, and other stakeholders on certain issues, cases, and obtaining monitoring and insurance policies. So overall, we have to manage functional performance, close our books, which we are in the middle of doing right now and in December, comply with regulatory requirements, and provide decision support. Moving on to last year and what the Department of Finance accomplished. So we have, for the last 2 years approximately, have been ongoing with a new ERP software. updating a software that's over, financial software that's over probably 25 years to the city. We're hoping to go live this first quarter of this upcoming 2025 year. It was the year of data for us, so a lot of my divisions focused on streamlining, modernizing some of their works, whether it's creating dashboards or digitizing things they had never done before. I know Raquel about a year or two ago got rid of her typewriter, which was amazing, and so on and so forth. So, so those are kind of sort of our financial management updates. We've had 2 years successfully in a row administering and submitting our audit on time. As you know, we've comprised the 5-year action plan. We're announced the schedule of the budget hearings. We've conducted a second phase pilot review and a deep dive of our pilots and abatements. And we've just continued to work with the Harvard Procurement Excellence Network. And you just met our Vista today, who was, if you can recall, 2 years ago, we did the policy grant. There was a hold at the federal level with hiring of Vistas, and she's now here. And so we'll be able to talk a little bit about that. And in your folders, you should have information on some of the things that are going to be driving our priorities. Other things that we collaborated on in the director's area is community engagement. We're partnering with different universities and fellowships and creating a finance fellowship. One of the things that actually are starting in January is a Six Sigma training for finance professionals, and we partner with NJIT to do that. So we're really trying to do it this month, but with holidays and everything sort of schedule, we're going to kick that off in January. So that's something that started last year that's going to go into next year. Moving on to page 9, some of the things that our CFO was able to accomplish was ensuring accuracy of our reporting, maintaining our records better, up to date, and working on our data, our financial database. One of the things by updating the new software is that we have to make sure that our chart of accounts are updated, old accounts that have not been closed, the migration of that data. And so he's been working hand in hand with IT to make sure that we don't have any hiccups when we go live with that system next year. So, and again, the roles of the CFO is compliance oversight, ensuring our fiscal rules, continuing financial disclosure on obligation of debt issuance. Moving on to page 11 of the slide deck, accomplishments by area by OMB. The department collaborated with many departments to stay within budget. You'll see in the last couple of years, you've had less over expenditures and less over budget. And we've been providing more reporting to whether it's the council and the departments by coordinating with our kind of sort of fiscal officers. We achieved a lot of our capital projects that were under the mayor's priority. OMB drafted over 2,000 requisitions, drafted over 400 resolutions, and assisted with over 30 ordinances. We achieved in employee opportunities by hiring 7 minority fiscal officers, 5 including females. And then there's various staff in OMB that have been enrolled in the CMFO course or the QPA classes. So we're very encouraging on the employee front in making sure that our staff is equipped and they're leading and that there could be cross opportunities for within the department. Moving on to page 12 in the area of collections. I am very excited to say that our tax collector, Miss Wonderful Trish Greco, was able to recover $8.7 million in a large-scale pilot audit for us. And so that's been something that we saw over the years. She's maintained a 98% collection rate. She helped settle and led the front of $1 million owed from a settlement agreement. And for another with Glenview Townhomes for back taxes from 2016, over $300,000. So, you know, Trish, will have to say I have the best tax collector in the state of New Jersey, and I'm grateful every day for her and her hard work. And I promised that she didn't have to talk, so you guys have to ask me the questions. She almost didn't come up here. She was like, I got to go back to work. I was like, I know, Trish, I got it. In operational improvements, she rectified from 2017 tax lien sale errors. we actually had a customer constituent appreciation day that I pushed her to do. And so we partnered with the health department and cultural affairs, and we got the smoothie bike down there. So on actual tax day, and people came in to pay their taxes. We made them smoothies. We gave them health awareness. We gave them swag bags. And I think people were really appreciative and really happy that I heard, well, this is the first time we've gotten something having to pay our taxes. And I was down there leading the front saying thank you for coming in and being part of it. Our seniors loved the smoothies because seniors were very proud to come in and pay their taxes. And so getting a smoothie, getting bags and different things that had, things from cultural fairs and stuff was a really good way to lighten the mood because no one really doesn't like to come in and pay taxes, but we said thank you and everyone had a great time. Excel training for her staff. She transitioned the software that she uses for the city on a cloud-based system. And one of our employees was able to obtain her tax collector's license and promote to deputy collectors. 2 other were enrolled in classes. And we had an employee who was approved by civil service to be the manager of abatement of special taxes, which is something that he was working at a title for quite some time, and we're looking to review some salary disparities because it was right fit, right job. And he too was also part of the success of helping the pilots and abatements with Trish hand in hand. The comptroller. So currently Wakidia is our acting comptroller. She's done a wonderful job. Unfortunately, earlier this year we had a transition that was no longer with us, and she came in and she took to the reins to help modernize and improve our accounting area. So she developed and enforced policies requiring clearance of any bank reconciliations older than 60 days. She established stricter deadlines and project milestones and deliverables. She automated our journal entries and reviews and supported mapping. We implemented cash controls for receivables, encouraged a culture to promote and proactive communication among team members. And successfully over this year, they have processed over 9,000 vouchers and set a timeline for framework. So we saw less and less people saying, I need to add something to the council meeting, or I need to call the council president if we can add a payment. I think you guys have heard a lot of less of that. It's because of her attributes of managing and making sure that things are coming in timely and accordingly, and working closely with our fiscal officers as well. In your handout, you're going to see a report of a summary that I had asked her to prepare. It says, it should be the first thing. It says financial highlight improvements of 2025 and key accomplishments. I felt as though the PowerPoint wasn't enough to tell you what has been done. And I think, Wakidia, I think if the city historically had reconciliations issues through certain periods, I think we're current through November. And I think that's something that was noted in our audit for years, that the reason why we couldn't close our books is because we were waiting for the AFS to be completed because the books weren't closed. So we're current through November, and that's something that, we have to applaud to and have to applaud Wakidia towards, that we've been working working towards on either weekly, bi-weekly kind of sort of basis. And so the financial improvement highlights is specifically to this report on the accounting side of things and what we've been able to accomplish. I don't know if you want to add anything else. Good. All right. So moving on to page 14, accomplishments by purchasing and procurement. So operational efficiencies, the division had over 400 bids, RFPs, and RFQs from vendors. Their audit showed better results in increasing in their compliance standards. They digitized the W-9 forms for audits. They processed over 6,000 requisition, issued 5,000 purchase orders, including 550 contractual resolutions, and received over 400 bids and proposals from various vendors. And I would say that in addition to operational proficiencies, training, collaborations, as we introduce you today, we have our Vista, and in your folder, you're going to see some information that we're going to be working on in 2025 as it relates to some of the procurement excellence reforms and some of the work that system engaging and collaborating with vendors, stakeholders, engagements, and so on and so forth. So I don't know if you want to say. Good. Okay. but she's here and I wanted to, bring her to the budget hearings as our first budget hearing. She will be with us for an entire year. So we're excited to do that because I think we all know we've had our challenges in engaging in diversity spending and supplies, but really taking that analysis look for the departments internally and then also coordinating some of our data systems and information to be kind of sort of that support. So we'll be making presentations and meeting with council members next year sometime so we can hear from you as well. Accomplishments by grants, but the grants team. So they partnered with the comptroller to close out grants from 2018 through 2022 in FOW, financial accuracy. We worked with GrantWrite with the Jersey Fire Department. They had over 5 years of overdue expenditures reports due to FEMA. And so this is something that I know that Vivian worked really, really hard because FEMA did come in and say, hey, you guys haven't to the Fire Department in regards to like compliance and expenditures. And so a lot of the report had been in paper, hadn't been there. There was transition over there. And FEMA's almost like not took away the city's funding for that. They weren't going to do it. And so there was something that we spent a lot of time in curing. I will say a lot of that reporting did fall on the federal government's to provide to the city that they failed to do. But we got to work. We issued a corrective action plan. We got it back in good graces, and FEMA was extremely proud of what we did and feel comfortable to continue to give us funding. They've been working on internal grant management dashboards. They are collaborating on a citywide grant training as well. And we are currently underway. In your folder, you should have information on the project status report on Amplifund. As it relates to, well, we've got 2 project status reports in our folder. We've got one with the Edmonds projects that you'll see, and then you'll see the grants kind of sort of status report with Amplifund. So we're doing 2 major kind of sort of integrations at the same time. So we've got both companies kind of sort of working with one another so that when we roll out the city's finance software, we'll also be rolling out a grants platform that'll work coincide. So because we know grants is a big sub budget of the city, so we're kind of sort of excited to take on some of these statuses. So if Edmonds is going to be the reporting tool, the Amplifund feature is going to be the management tool and compliance tool, and a lot of the solicitations tools that we're going to kind of sort of need. And I will also say that we're also working in coordination with community development, my former role, because that's another sub-grant administrator, and also in coordination with HHS, who tend to have a lot of grants as well. Right, moving on to page 17 is our org chart. You get to see our team and the leadership here. And then subsequently, I printed in your folders the actual expanded organizational chart because it gets kind of sort of lost in the PowerPoint. And so again, the organizational chart is comprised of the director's office, grant administration, tax collection, management and budget, comptroller, treasury and debt management, and purchasing. So in 2025, we are looking to request about $7.1 million between salaries and wages among the 7 divisions. The department has about 70 employees. We have 8 funded vacancies, 8 unfunded vacancies that we would look to need. I will say the Department of Finance is a small department among the other city departments. We're a very mighty and important department. So the considerations on supporting all the requests so that we can continue to improve some of the efficiencies in areas that we did not get to would be greatly appreciated. So therefore, we're going to go into our goals. If you support our funding requests and our priorities, we'll be able to help accomplish our goals quicker and more efficient. And so, like I said, is, professional development and employing opportunity, the cross-departmental training. As I noted that we have staff all across the department in taking their certification courses. I noted to the Six Sigma training for finance professionals. It's going to help spearhead the analyses, the errors, improvement, analysis, and decision-making process maps. So a lot of that is going to be taught to the leadership team, and in hopes that They train their staffs, and then the following year they will actually work to Six Sigma like certification and different, green belts, black belts, and so on and so forth. The Edmonds launch, as I noted, in regards to our goals for 2025, transitioning and training and developing our full-fledged manuals, DOF goals for the 2025 under budget construction and budget controls. I think it's to empower our fiscal officers to have more control of the departments, collaborate with the directors, identify actual needs, under collections and enhancements, upgrade some of the hardware and software that we've had, implement and align duties with our civil service titles. I think there's always something to be worked on. And the comptroller's office is to close out 2023, 24, 25 audit findings and clear up the old ones and create templates for the annual financial statements and getting support from our RMA and CMFO designations. In procurement and purchasing is digitizing, automating partial payment vouchers, change orders, maintain our audit standing and increasing it. Participate in doing business with Jersey City. We're looking to expand that a little bit more, keeping and informing departments on legislation, local public and public contracts law. And for the grants administration is completing the reconciliation of grants to date, enhance collaboration to increase grant solicitation among the departments, digitize workflow and develop grant sustainable models. Treasury and debt management, we're looking to fully act in compliance with future audits and strive to eliminate outstanding reconciliation items between treasury, debt management, and accounting, and resolve any outstanding payroll issues or conversations of the check processing, which a lot has been eliminated with the unicorn system. But earlier this year, we did have some struggles and some things that we are looking to help modernize and improve. So for 2025, we're going to have the year of modernization and finance, looking to lead what we end out with the Six Sigma cohort and training. Our CMFO is definitely looking to comply and have operation oversight, develop deeper dives with fiscal policy. And then moving on to page 26, our summary, our business and department is getting better and good. Our work is getting done more efficiently, expeditiously. We're delivering on collaboration and working across divisions and departments. We're complying better with efficiencies and digitizing our work. And we are leaders, and we are continue to work and explore areas to improve not only the city internally within its departments, but also externally for the constituents of the city. Page 27, I have a timeline of the steps in regards to what we've been doing, just I think globally overall, as we've kicked off budget meeting in back in September. We've started to conduct our financial analysis. Now through November and December, we've collected our fourth quarter taxes. We recently had our tax sale. We've had our budget workshops, our budget hearings. We're having our revenue projections and expense review. Going into January through April, we're going to be having a report on the status of the budgets, amendments, public hearings. Budget approval will be dependent on when the local finance board, the local finance notice will be issuing dates in regards to when the budgets are due. I think that publication just came out. Sean, you sent the email last week about that. And with the statutory change of dates. And then I would say April through September, we're going to kick it off again, right? The budget management and implementation, mid-year reviews, end-of-year assessments, the 2026 budget process hearings to be held, and help to improve the transition plan. And I think that although I would like to do budget hearings again next December, I think people might, with the change of administration, that may have to change. So I'll work on like somewhat of a transition status plan, and then probably have budget hearings next year, but knowing that we will hopefully have something of a discussion in December. And then for the next team and wanting to hear would be for I think it's prudent to have it next year, and hopefully they go back to the order and structure that I've put into and worked so hard to do, and having it timely again. So with that, I will stop at the PowerPoint and then answer any questions you may have about the departments, about our requests, what we submitted in our Excel sheets, and go from there.
Okay, thank you, Director. I'll open to questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Director. You stated that you have like 7 vacancies. What divisions do you need them in?
If you look at our org chart, we have a vacancy in OMB. We need a fiscal officer, an assistant fiscal officer to support in HHS. We currently have, I would say, a former position that we had as a fiscal officer in the administration area, but we've had, I would say, Cynthia covering for in that area. So that's in a requested position, although it was a previously funded position in a prior budget year. In the division of collections, we have a cashier. In purchasing, we have an assistant vacant buyer. In grants administration, we have a grants program manager position. Accounts control, we have a position for a chief accountant. And I will say, as of in treasury debt management, we have a municipal treasurer that was posted, but someone recently just accepted that position, and it won't be starting until the new year. But as of today's date, anything can change if the person doesn't start. So I left it in here as a funded position.
The treasurer start the first of the year. Hopefully
Next year.
Hopefully next.
Hopefully next year. Yep.
Let me ask you a question. Is it hard to get these vacancies full, like the time limit? That's what I'm concerned about.
So the timing of yes, I will say that when I draft up a job description or have the discussion about my organizational structure, I had this meeting in July, and when I even got my org chart back from the administration, there was errors in it and things that I didn't even discuss or hadn't even seen. And so I had to go back and propose an email in regards to like, this is what the notes were and so on and so forth. And even like, for example, like we have our acting comptroller, like it was told to me verbally that she'd be moved from acting. She's still in the position. I'm still waiting for a letter from HR to give us that. I would say my tax collector also struggles in regards to just getting basic answers or just decisions. And so ultimately it does make it hard and it does defeat morale when it comes to trying to get certain things done. And I understand we're a big city and there's a lot of things, and I do work in this building, so I'm sensitive to the order and the structure. But they're just things that I think just need to be streamlined and don't need to take as long as they do.
Right. Because the money is already allotted.
Yes.
That's why.
Yep.
Get it. All right. Trish, let me ask you a question because you're very good with taxes. This is just a question because I get this question from seniors a lot. You know, I don't think it could be done. I figure I ask because somebody may be watching. You know, seniors are concerned because of the cost of living has went up so high, and a lot of seniors that own homes are on fixed income. I know they get Anchor or some type of senior rebate, which is like $250 or something like that. Don't hold me to the number. But I know this probably has to come from the state, but I know you know taxes and you may have an idea. I don't know.
Sure. So the 250, there's a few programs. The 250 deduction comes off their taxes.
Mhm.
That is reimbursed to the city from the state. The assessor approves those applicants. The 250 comes right off their taxes. However,
Mhm.
the income is $10,000 or less, not including Social Security. So if they get a pension that exceeds 10,000, they don't qualify.
Hmm.
Now, the other program is the Senior Freeze. The Senior Freeze is also through the state of New Jersey. They have to apply, and they have to continually apply every year. What that means is their first year they apply, that becomes their base year. Every year after, every time the tax changes, they get a refund check from the state of New Jersey each year.
How much,
So-
do you know, is it based on their income or what is this?
It's
What is
based on their
the,
income as well.
what's the
income is
highest
Pretty
amount?
high. I believe it's in the 90s.
Okay, what they receive back?
No, their income has to be 90,000.
Okay,
Can't be more. Like if their income is 200,000, they're not qualifying. What they get back is the difference in taxes from year to year. So their base year can be 2020.
Mhm.
Their base year means the year they applied when they were 65. Fast forward 3 years later, their taxes are now $5,000 more. They will get the $5,000 difference from the base year to the current year from the state of New Jersey. Some of them can exceed $5,000, $6,000.
okay. Oh, it's just becoming challenging for them. I understand it, but it's like when you're on a fixed income as a senior, because a fixed income means your income is not increasing.
So I belong to the TCTANJ organization,
Mhm.
and I just had a meeting last week, and we were told that the state is willing to come out to do seminars for the local communities. I'll send you that information.
I appreciate it, but let me ask you a question. Let me ask you another question because I'm asking you questions because I get this from seniors. Some of them feel like because they do not have children in school and they are past the bearing age of children, why is it that they have to pay school taxes? I don't, I don't know if you have an answer. I don't know, because you go to all these tax meetings, somebody may ask that question, y'all may came up with an answer. That's why I'm just asking.
No,
No, you don't have an
no answer for that one.
Okay, because they do ask that question, and I understand the point though, and I wonder how much do we as a city receive from seniors through taxes? I wonder, we don't have any numbers on that?
No, we
No.
would only have the ones that qualify for the 250, and that would be in the tax collectors, the tax assessor's duplicate.
Gotcha. Because it would be interesting to know how many seniors are we receiving money from? Maybe it's something that, we could really advocate for seniors if the number's not that high. Because I know government, once they get your tax dollars, they don't want to give it back. But I'm trying to think of ways because I could imagine the struggle, especially for them that's on fixed income, and it seemed like we don't help the seniors. Like they give all their lives and their work, and now they get to the age where they just want to retire, and then as soon as they retire, then the taxes constantly go up, but their income stays there, and it's like we're not rewarding them for contributing to the development of this country for decades. That's why. And I hear they
Senior freeze
frustrate.
is the best
It's the best.
because you're freezing the taxes.
Yes.
You get everything. You have to pay it up front,
Right,
unfortunately,
right.
and then you get it back.
You still have to pay it up front though,
Yes,
and then you get it back.
correct.
And is it a long turnaround time? And is it frustrating to fill out that form?
So unfortunately, as you get older, you forget things. And when they get the form from the state, some of them forget to bring it to our office to fill out and send it to the state.
See, that's what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate it.
So then to ask the same question a slightly different way, just for on the record, if if something is mailed to one of our seniors and they come in to pay their taxes and they speak to your office, there is somebody there that will help them walk through the process of filling out the senior freeze form.
So we have a specific form that the tax office has to fill out. We help them with that. We
Okay.
don't help them fill out the other part.
Okay, that's where I just wanted a little bit of clarity, but I think it's great if the state is willing to do the workshops that we do to help our seniors. I think that coming from the direct agency that does this, it eliminates a lot of questions that we have to take and then forward to somebody at the state level and then bring it back to them, and things almost always something gets lost in translation there. So that's great. Please do keep us posted.
I will. I'll send you all the information.
That would be great. Thank you. And then I do have a question. I think it's great that you were able to they do the audit of the pilots and bring in more money to the city. So what does your office have in place to make sure that annually we're not losing funding that way? Because
So I can tell you that Ernest Borgia, he was promoted to manager of abatement and special taxes back in 2016 when the prior collector left. 3 people followed her, and Ernest was the only person left in a pilots. This is very dear to my heart. I'm sorry.
Okay.
He was the only one left, and he didn't have any support. So when I came on board, Donna Daniels, who is now also a certified collector, she's on the org chart for a promotion as well. We built a team together. It's the 3 of us that work on the pilots, and we're doing annual financial statements every year, collecting all the money that they owe us for the back taxes as well.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you.
Great job to you and your entire team
That's the truth.
for getting that back on track.
Thank you.
Trish, let me ask you about the payroll tax. How are we coming along with that? I know that's discussion throughout the whole city with this payroll tax. Are we collecting it as we should?
So the payroll tax is not like regular taxes. We
Right.
don't bill them.
Right.
They have to go online and file. We have no control of what they file.
Mhm.
I can tell you the CFO did a mailing and it did produce a substantial amount of additional payroll money for a few years.
Okay.
But we don't enforce it, we just collect it. That's the Division of Audit and a CFO, I think, are working on that.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you, Trish. I appreciate it. Let me purchasing. Hello there.
Hello.
You know, I know you have a challenging position, especially when it comes to diversity and inclusion, because this is something that I've been advocating for ever since I took office, and I know the importance of it because I know some businesses have complained that they don't get city contracts, they don't, get anything from the city. So I just want to update for the record so the people that's watching can know exactly where are we with that, because it's important that they know that they can apply. They can always, when we go out for bid, let them know that process. And if there's any obstacles you have, and let me know that. Let Councilwoman Prince Airy know that.
I've been working with ODI for quite some time, and we just had a workshop in November. Jersey City wants to do business with you.
Mhm.
We had a pretty good turnout as compared to earlier in the year because we do it twice a year. And now that we have our Vista, it's going to help us with those obstacles that we have right now. She's going to, right now, she's doing all the research.
Mhm.
We've given her the study. She's going to collect the data. We're going to do an outreach to vendors, local vendors, and ask them what their challenges are so that we can understand their point of view. But the workshop we just had in November, it was very informative for them. I just give them procedures purchasing wise, and then Dr. Jeter does his portion in regards to what we buy, what do they have, because it doesn't make sense to get diverse vendors if we don't need their product. So we have a list, but do we actually buy their product? So we're working on that right now. So between ODI, our Vista, and myself, 2025, I'm only going to say positive things. I'm not going to say anything negative. Going to. There's no if. We are going to make this better.
And I would just add, if in your folders we have like the how-to guide that we're going to be following from the Harvard Procurement Excellence Network. So it's surveying your vendor and community to assess satisfaction, identifying pain points, because it's not just a Jersey City issue; it's a national issue. I remember 2 years there was over like 50 like cities with us, or 35 to 40 cities.
Very interesting.
And then getting in focus and using your stakeholder focus group, improving your procurement processes. I think that we've done good in identifying the issue, creating the list. But I do think when I created in cohort with Raquel, the Vista position, the community finance coordinator, oftentimes businesses are too busy to even want to participate. And so we kind of sort of have to take the approach of, okay, we're going to do the data, identify what the needs are, but also being that relationship management piece of helping businesses to actually want to do business with Jersey City. So how do we create toolkits and how do we create things that'll simplify the process for them that I think we haven't looked, because we work in very government text language. And we all know even whether to put an RFP together or to solicit things, to fill out these forms, it gets complicated. And so, our business is going to help us like say, hey, these are what some other cities and areas are doing so that we can have that constant piece of engagement. And that we're, I think, internally to the departments that we're finding vendors that they can actually use and saying, we just need to get this through. And I think another thing that I did not highlight in our department review is that I had OMB and purchasing, with the help of Andres in the back, actually create a purchasing procurement OMB kind of sort of solicitation form and put a mapping and a schedule to understand when they're going to buy next year, how they're going to buy, and what they needed versus just getting, hey, we're going to get this request from the department to do initial RFP, and then it takes them 3-6 months to do something, and now it's out the window. So we're going to measure it by quarters and other intervals, so that I think it's streamlined from OMB and purchasing, and then working on the diversity, inclusion, and purchasing power that I think that we relatively need.
Yeah. Do you think that we could train or have a class with the directors or whoever orders from each department? I think part of the breakdown is that with some of these departments, because they just used to ordering from a certain, merchant or vendor, they just do it. You know what I'm saying? It's a habit. So is there a way that, we can start, having classes with them to let them know before you purchase, here is a list that you should look on to see if there's someone on the list that we can use. Like if we need a whole lot of, I'm just saying salt because we're in the winter season. Okay. If we need salt, and let's say we just used to getting salt from one company. Okay, can we break it down to 2 or 3? Depends, especially if it's a small minority business. I think sometime what happens is because we said we want to help the small business. Now realize when we say we want to help the small business, they cannot meet the quantity that we need, but they can meet something. Okay, so now if the director in that department or whoever is assigned to it, because I don't know how the directors do their ordering, whoever's assigned to it would start thinking, okay, I'm so used to, ordering, let's just say, thousands of salt from this company here. And now because we want to thrive on being diverse and inclusive, because, that's what we thrive on in this city. We're the most diverse city in the country because we thrive on that. Maybe we could say, okay, let's break it down and see if we can help the small business in some way. Whereas, okay, we know he can give us 1,000, but because we want to help a small business, let's see if we can partner with them to get 500 from him. That's what I'm saying. And I think the directors or whoever they assign to the purchasing part of their, of their department should have that mindset. It's a behavior that we're trying to change here. Because if I keep seeing certain certain companies keep coming back to us to vote, after a while you just say we really ain't doing anything. We are going out our way. I know in our office I always make sure the girl looks on the list to see if there's a diverse, company out there, because we got to put our money where our mouth is. That's all I'm saying. I think we need to be trained in-house. It's not so much of the small guy, because once you tell the small guy how this goes, a lot of times they'll call, they'll ask. But if we already order the merchandise because we are creatures of habit from some other company, we can't really order because we done put it in, it done pass, and that's where the money going. Yep. So
Absolutely, we could do the training. I've talked to our pal about how do we do ongoing training, because ultimately when you take the team out of it, or training the trainer, do we solicit out vendors? But we do know them crafting stakeholder engagement, or we're going to do your stakeholder, the departments are stakeholders, the community are stakeholders. So a lot of that kind of sort of undertaking. And I think part of this, exercise and working with the Vista is like, what are going to be the needs and the ongoing needs to meet. You're exactly what you're saying,
Right.
Mr. President. We are the most diverse city, so
Right.
I'm looking to hire staff or solicit a company that's going to reflect the services needed to provide that. And so
Yeah.
you're spot on your assessment and your request and what we're going to be gearing up to do in 2025.
Yeah.
And we currently enforce the VA's policy on those purchases that you don't see because you
Mhm.
only see those high.
Right,
ones.
right.
But in my office, we make sure that there's at least 2 diverse quotes on anything from $1
Mm-hmm.
to $17,000. We
Mhm.
do that now.
That's good.
Yes. Just want to work on bigger contracts.
Yeah, I get you. I'm with you.
My question for some of these larger contracts, larger RFPs, is Sage still the only way the city communicates that out, or are there other avenues that people can learn about them?
If the state communicates on what?
No, Sage.
Sage? What Sage?
Are you talking about BidSync or the? Or
Well, I would have called it Sage, but it's BidSync. Yeah. Sorry,
No,
I know it's
actually,
different,
no.
but I
We
apologize.
actually changed names again. And went
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's how I learned it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so BidSync, yes.
Yes. It's not just BidSync. We had the newspapers. We had Star Ledger and the Jersey Journal, which now we're working on
Mhm.
how we're going to resolve that down the road. I'm going to call Bergen Record today.
Mhm.
Heard what you said. We also posted on the city's website on our purchasing page.
Oh, great.
So there are 3 ways that we put it out there. On
Great.
top of ODI doing their outreach, when I send them the advertisement to ODI, and then they can do their outreach as well.
You know what I think is important, Key, when it comes to like small businesses, is the EDC. And I keep saying this, and nobody just listening to me. I don't know why. Okay. Because the EDC is a component from the city that deals with small business. Now, to me, they should have a small business directory. I've been asking them for that for a while. And the reason why, because if they have a small business directory, when there are bids, we can just send it to them and they can send it out also to their directory. Okay, which is really important because they do a lot of business with small business. And I think that is an arm for us as a city. I don't think we utilize them as much as we should. And I keep saying that because I meet with a lot of small businesses and I'm like, well, we have the EDC. You know, you can reach out to them, you know, you can get help from them. So I think that's what we have to start incorporating more is the EDC
Okay.
part of, you know, getting the information out there. The challenge with the city, and I see it when we are spread out like this, we forget that we really are connected. You know, we are connected. We can't run this city, you know, just one department doing whatever. We have to connect to one another, especially if we want to be, you know, good stewards to the residents of the city of Jersey City. And to me, we say that every time we do a ribbon cutting, we go to ribbon cuttings and we always, you know, encourage them saying small business is the backbone of the economy. But I just don't think the city at this point is small business friendly yet. I think we need to get there. I don't think we're there yet. Like I said, a small business seminar, all that's important. I said that. And I think there's more work to be done there. And I think that is an arm for us to start reaching out to because they do come in contact with a lot of small
I
business,
agree. Yes.
you know. That's just my 5 cents.
well, we can.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
No grants. I know grants is such a key portion of the city of Jersey City because it fills in where the city cannot. That's the
Yes.
bottom line. All right. And I know with a city this size, we are not where we should be as a grant department. I know you're the only one person. Did they give you any help yet, or you just
Yeah.
still floating in there by yourself?
Yes, we have 2 staff members that came on last year. Basically, we're working to add at least 3 more people to our staff so that we can spread out more over the city. We have George Quintanillas and Kimberly Diaz. So George does the closeouts
Uh-huh.
and Kimberly does the grant setups right now.
And we contract with Millennium too for grants, right?
We still have Millennium up until May of 2025. We're doing an RFP right now, which is going to open on the 27th of December. That's for coordination and application. And so they're going to, that right now, GrantWrite has that contract, but because of, we we didn't anticipate the amount of closeouts that we had to do.
Mhm.
So they actually absorbed the entire contract within 6 months. So we had to go out for a new RFP
Mhm.
or a new coordination application.
When you say closeout, explain to the audience what that entails.
So up until probably this year, when the grant period ends,
Mhm.
we were just basically leaving everything there and walking away from it, leaving
Money,
everything on.
money. We was leaving money, right?
Not so much
much
leaving money.
Okay.
So most of our grants, at least 95% of our grants are reimbursable.
Okay.
So what happens is the city, just a little insight is when we receive an award letter, the city basically lends the grant department or the division that amount of money. Then it's for the department to go out and spend, and then they submit an expenditure report.
Mhm.
And then they will then send that to the grantor, and then they would send them the money back. So
the city.
they'll send that money back to this, whatever was spent. They'll
Right.
send that back to the city. So then what happens at the end, if the grantor gave us a grant for $1 million,
Mhm.
and we only asked them for 500,000 in return because that's the amount we spent on that particular grant.
Mhm.
We were walking away and leaving 500,000 just floating in the city's budget, where that money could have been, it was just like a loan that we loaned to ourselves, but we can't touch because it's restricted. So now what we're doing at the end of each grant period is we're going in and having them cancel out those grants to relieve the city's money. So it looks like we're leaving money on the table. No, we're not leaving money on the table. We've gotten the money back from the grantor and we've completed the projects from the grantor. Now, this was just some of the grants are up to, and that was the portion from what we, at our project to the maximum amount that this grantor would give us. And that's one of our biggest issues.
Let me ask you something. Okay, now let's say you said we had a grant for $1 million, okay, and the city spend 500,000, right?
Mhm.
So out there's another 500,000. So about time that grant comes in, don't we know we got another 500,000 there? So why are we waiting so late to close out?
Well, most of the time, that other 500, we may not be able to spend. Sometimes it's because, take for summer foods, they will give us like almost $1 million.
Uh-huh.
We don't have the participation for them to spend the $1 million, or the kids don't come out, or, they have different avenues where they just, it's just not there. So that it's just like an up to number. It's not, this is how much you can spend up to. Not necessarily, you have to spend the full $1 million.
So what are we closing out?
We're closing out a number of grants. Oof,
So when we close out, we're not losing the money.
no.
No.
Carrying it over to the next year.
Money.
So to try to simplify, it's looking at your schedules, right? You've got
Right,
grants receivable and your grants payable.
right.
And then you have to think about the compliance of each grant citywide.
Mhm.
And then you have to measure like the fiscal years versus
Mhm.
the calendar years. And so I think with the creation of the Department of Finance a few years ago, bringing Vivian over to streamline that, and then when I came over to actually have a division, we really had to start looking at what the city was and wasn't doing.
Right.
And being like the former community development director and Viv working in HHS and grants, like their own fiscal subset rules, right? So if a department told that former comptroller, oh, keep this open because, you know, we're still getting in money, they're thinking from an administrative rule, not a fiscal rule. So for the team here, we had to go back to the department and say, you haven't closed out your grants. And they're like, yes, we did. And I did all the reporting. You did the administrative part. The financial management pieces of grant reporting and administration was not completed. So what Vivian is explaining here is that we didn't leave money on the table because the city, every year we have to appropriate what's in the budget for the grant.
Grants.
It's about just kind of sort of clearing up end of year, closing out your books, the same thing you're going to kind of do for your yearly taxes and so on and so forth, so that your financial management and your compliance management and your fiscal management and your project management all stands in line. So that we were doing some areas, not all areas. And so when it seems like, you know, she's closing out from 16, 17, 20, 2022, we can't speak on the past because a lot of us weren't here.
Right.
But working closely with, you know, some of the accomplishments I noted in our deck with our controller and our teams, we've been able to kind of sort of like put the pillars in place where the city may have done some areas, but they didn't do the finance pieces. And that's what Viv has been working on with her team. And that we're hoping this year to add more staff to start working on increasing, you know, applications. But
Right.
we were very invested when creating this division is the compliance cleanup. I could not dump, okay, you know, they go start getting more grants with the grants department when the back end of our books were still not kind of sort of there. And so we worked with, like I said,
Millennium. What Millennium does? Do they search for our grants or what? Because I'm trying to see now, because I know you said you need more help. Millennium contract, you're telling me is up in 6 months. So I'm trying to figure out, is it worth renewing their contract or just put the people in the grant department, have them search or what? That's what I'm trying to see. Like, who searched the grants? Do the directors? Because then I hear some directors complain that they don't have time enough to search for grants.
So
So I'm just trying to figure all this out.
And I mean, ultimately, we thought the same thing. We issued an RFP last year. We knew that we needed coordination and compliance and application. We issued the RFP. As you know, the matter was renewed, right? You had the vendor here come speak on the record, and you guys had a decision to make on whether or not to extend the contract. I think the Department of Finance would have been fine either way on your decision because we were looking to make, you know, substantial changes with the grant administration. Historically, it's been decentralized versus the centralization efforts. So I do think, yes, the departments do need help in coordinating grants because grants are a different like management piece.
Yeah.
But we're scaling up within the requested budget. Like Viv wants to have, you know, 2 to 3 more people this year. I would do coordinate these things. And I think as we get the RFP results back, we'll kind of sort of determine where the costs are going to lie and what would be fair and equitable when we go to kind of start to adopt the budget.
Okay, let me ask another question. I see you say you conducted citywide 2-day grant training classes. Was that to the staff? Was that to the public? You know?
That was
Oh, that was last year. That was with community development, and it was open to all fiscal officers, where they came in and they sat with. They got an understanding of community development grants and all government grants. So that was last year.
So it wasn't to the public, it was to community development and just the offices, just the city. I mean, just
The
employees.
Yes.
Okay, there's no class for the public?
So in the current RFP, we did write in a request for nonprofits for the next grant consultant to deal strictly with nonprofits when it comes to startup grants, continuing funding, and research, because we do know that you've expressed and a number of departments have expressed that nonprofits don't have an avenue to get grant funding. So that is a part of the RFP that is currently going out in 2 days.
Okay, so next year, we should have some type of class to the public to understand grants.
Yes, we can have whoever that winner of the RFP can have a class and we can invite in any nonprofit. Yes.
Okay, now you said the winner of the RFP.
Right.
What would the responsibility be to the winner?
They would be responsible for helping them research grants and understanding grants. They won't help them manage. They would be on
Right.
their own with the management, but they will do the research for them.
Okay, so they will help them research
Yes.
whoever is the winner of the RFP.
Yes.
And I will also say,
Go ahead.
and I have had our discussion in regards to whether that position of a community grants coordinator is, something that the division will have as we're
Right.
working internally with the departments, but also understand that there are, like she said, like the nonprofits and other organizations or the people that need kind of sort of grants. So I think we're still exploring that aspect because we do understand that, like similar to the procurement work, there is a relationship management piece. Again, being the former community development director, it's constant TA work.
Right.
Constant assistance. It's constant. It's like even when we worked with some of the SIDs and trying to do the grants collaboration, it seems to be like a foreign concept. And a lot of the paperwork and compliance, and whether that's a one-person team to do, or are we putting this off to a vendor to see like what is the analysis and the piece of what it's going to entail? But we understand that grants and grants for the community is something and part of kind of sort of like goals and agenda items for the division.
So those workshops would be in addition to what community development has been doing.
Yeah.
It's just so it would be additive, right?
Yeah, it would be additive because
Yeah.
community development is all HUD-based, federal, and part of HHS. This would be more global, where it could include federal, it could include private, it can include institutional, like different types of grants that are out there.
Right. It's no, I understand it's a whole separate world, and that's why I think it's great that this is part of the RFP. But I think also how we communicate that out to nonprofits so they, especially for smaller ones that are getting ready to or trying to scale, like it's really challenging altogether. I think it's a good thing that they're going to do, but I also want to make sure that it's communicated out. Is this going to be a way for them to participate with the city when we're looking for community partners, like how we have done with the Healthier JC grants, things like that? So
Well, I will say that with our new software that we're getting with Amplifund, it does have a search tool. It's a little bit more easier and compatible to use. Oftentimes, like for instance, having worked with the vendor Millennium, like they do the grant research for us. Right. So having that tool in our own database and system will make the conversation easier, guided with the departments, versus going on like grants.gov and looking through thousands and thousands of grants, or going on the state website and looking through some of their resources. They do have a page of Office of Grants and Fellowship and so on and so forth. But again, it's just a listing with a cover page of a web page that's not streamlined to understand the needs of the priorities. So we are looking at that.
okay, thanks. Anything else for grants?
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate you, ladies. You're doing a terrific job. Thank you, Director, for putting us on that 5-year plan.
Thank
I
you.
think we headed in the right direction. So often people don't understand the state that we really was in financially. But we are on target.
Thank you.
Thanks for your leadership. Thank you, ladies. All that I know it's going to get better.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. Thank you, Danny. Thank you. Great job.
That. Can I have a motion to adjourn at 12:22 p.m.? Motion made by Councilperson Prinzary. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Council President Waterman. All in favor of the motion to adjourn at 12:22 p.m. Council members present by acclamation, please say aye. We are out of here at 12:22 p.m. Thank you so much, everyone in attendance and everyone watching at home. Remember, as I always say, teamwork makes the dream work. Happy holidays, everybody. Stay safe and have a great, great holiday season.